I was pumping while driving on my commute the next day to work.
Mhm.
And I had an idea for a concept of a mat that has suction. And when I got home, I got silicone caulk out of the basement.
Welcome back to the Running Wine Mom podcast. I'm your host, Samantha Slinsky, aka the Running Wine Mom. Today, I'm sitting down with Beth Benike, founder of Busy Baby Mat. What stands out about Beth's story is how it began, not with a big business strategy, but with a real everyday challenge that so many moms face. That moment led to the creation of a product that's now helping families across the country, myself included, and eventually a spot on Shark Tank. In this conversation, we talk about how it all started, what it takes to build something from the ground up, how her background in the military shaped her approach, and what it looks like to balance motherhood while growing a business, which I also experienced firsthand the other week. If you've ever had an idea or felt like there has to be a better way to do something in your day to day life, this episode will resonate with you. So without further ado, let's welcome Beth. Welcome.
Hello.
I was so excited that you guys were at the Prego Expo because seriously, your product was one of my favorites when my kids were like in the toddler phases, and just to meet you was like so cool, and to see that the product that I was using was made by someone who, a mom, which is like also really cool, I think.
Yeah. And I think, for your listeners, when you say you were happy to see us guys at the expo, it was me and my son, who is almost 9 years old. So, it's not like we're this big corporation. I'm the CEO and the CMO and the CFO and all the janitor and everything else. And my son is, my expo staff.
Yeah, and he was doing such a cool, like he was getting the credit cards and he was helping you and he was doing such a great job. So let's get right into it. Tell us about yourself. If someone has not heard of Busy Baby Mat, can you tell us what it is?
Yeah. I mean, most important thing first, the product. It is a silicone placemat. It has suction cups on the bottom, so it will stick to any smooth, clean surface. And then I invented this tether system that you can attach things to the mat so that baby can't drop and throw them on the ground. So great for high chairs, restaurants, all kinds of other uses. But that's the basic concept of everything I've now developed. We have bungees that go on your stroller. I have a bib for restaurants that has the same tether system. Everything I designed is to keep things within reach, off the ground, at home, and on the go.
Yes, and it does stick. Like it literally, I have tried other things, and that thing, like you have to like kind of put your fingernails under it to get it off of the table. And I love the attachments to it because that was so cool to just attach the toys, and then you're not really having to go down and pick stuff up. And so the product was just really great. So before Shark Tank, before Busy Baby Mat, what did your life look like in that season of early motherhood?
Well, before motherhood, I was in the Army for 10 years and I had always wanted to be a mom. I was 30 when I got out of the military and single, and didn't find a good partner that wasn't crazy until much later in life. And I thought by the time I met my now husband that, maybe motherhood just wasn't going to be in the cards for me. And I was just going to be the best aunt I could be. And then I met my now husband, and surprise, we got pregnant, and I had my first son when I turned 40. So I was an older first-time mom. I had been working a corporate job, and I took my maternity leave for 3 months. And when I went back to work, a couple of my stay-at-home mom friends took me out for lunch, just kind of check on my mental health when you do that huge transition from being home all day, every day for 3 months with your baby to then leaving him at daycare and
Mm-hmm.
going back to work. And just, it's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And so they took me out for lunch and they brought their 1-year-old babies. And the entire meal was spent, keeping things out of their reach, picking things off the ground. One of the moms was a germaphobe. So she had this whole thing about, everything had to get wiped down. You can't put baby's food on the table because you don't know what they clean the table with. And so I was like, oh my God, this is such a distraction. I want to go on. I went on Amazon right then so that I could buy
Mm-hmm.
something for my son. So when old enough to join us at the table, he wouldn't be such a huge distraction. And what I wanted was something that would keep the toys off the ground. But my friend really insisted there had to be a clean place where you could put baby's food as well. So there was nothing that existed on Amazon. The next day, it's kind of a funny story, I think, for your audience. It might be okay to tell. I was pumping while driving on my commute the next day to work.
Mm-hmm.
And I had an idea for a concept of a mat that has suction. And when I got home, I got silicone caulk out of the basement, squirted it into one of the flanges of my pump, and then also squirted it into a sheet pan and started to, like, cobble together what I now know is, like, a prototype. And so
Oh
that
my
was kind of
gosh.
the inception is I just had this idea while pumping and driving, and from there, I cut and glued some things together. I ordered off of Amazon to make, like, a little better functioning thing. I bought different suction cups and glued them to different placemats, and my husband's, like, fishing stuff I glued to the top of the mat. I made one for myself, and I made one for my best friend who had a baby 8 days after me. And that was really all it was gonna be. It wasn't, at this point, ever a bit it was a mom hack. We all have our mom
Mhm.
hacks. We all have ways that we make life easier. And so then she called me about a month later, and she's like, "Oh my god, I forgot your mat thingy last night, and it was awful." She's like, "You need to make this thing for real. I didn't realize how useful it was till I didn't have it." And that's what really started the journey. I was like, "Hmm, how would I do that?"
I absolutely love that even more, that that is how it kind of came to be, which is really cool that just something so simple, such a simple idea came into something so big. I also didn't know that it was veteran owned, which is amazing. Thank you for your service. How did becoming an entrepreneur like align with the experience that you had handling pressure, uncertainty, and leadership now?
Yeah, I think that being in the military helped me in a number of ways.
Hmm.
The real obvious easy one at the beginning is when I had this, like, how would I make this for real kind of thought. I found out there's a organization that was called Bunker Labs that
Okay.
is it exists to help military veterans and their spouses who want to start businesses. It's like an entrepreneurship kind of course that's free. They've since been acquired by Syracuse University, but the program still exists and it's amazing. And so I took classes through Bunker Labs how to start a business. I did go to school and got a business management degree, but anybody with a business management degree knows it's very vanilla and
Hmm.
not really specific to anything. So, I was able to take those courses and have that assistance at no cost. And then being in the military, we train and train and train. And then when you get deployed, things don't always go how you train them to go. And you can't just be like, oh shoot, what do I do now? I guess I quit. Have to find a way to carry on the mission. So when things don't go as planned, you just keep going. You figure it out. You find a way through, around, over the wall, whatever. And that's just, I think was beat into me for 10 years. And
Hmm.
so as I've grown my business, literally every single step of the way for the last almost 9 years, I keep running into things that I don't know how to do. How
Right.
do I do this? Or, what is this new obstacle? Never heard of this problem before. And then you just figure it out. And so I
That's
think that
awesome.
really came from being in the military.
Right. So helpful for business owners because I am sure it is just so many different things that can come up. And so there are so many baby products out there, but yours really solves a daily stress point. What do you think makes Busy Baby resonate with so deeply with moms?
I think because it's just common sense.
Hmm.
When I first got the I have 15 patents now on all
Wow.
my different inventions, and I don't even know how many times I've heard, like, "Where was this when my kids" this is so
Hmm.
simple.
Right.
Such a simple concept. It's just the placemat down and have a thing to attach stuff to. Like, how did this not exist before?
But but it also is so much better than the other because there are mats out there and like I don't know if there's mats that hold toys, but I just feel like any mat that I had come across, it was so like it just came off. And you solved like that, issue as well, where once you're out to eat, your kid can be there and you can kind of enjoy a little more, which I think is so wonderful. Well, that was how it was for me in my experience.
Yeah, and one of the things I really love about my product is I like I get stressed out, and my husband, it does not faze him, but when baby makes noise, a
Hmm.
grunt, a moan, a cry, a whine, my mom brain instantly needs to solve the problem. So it causes me additional stress, even if it's like he's not having, he just dropped his toy and he's whining about it. Dad can ignore that. My
Hmm.
husband just didn't bother him at all. But if we're sitting and eating, the baby's grunting and making some noise. I have to get up and solve the problem. I have to get up and solve the problem. And so for us to be able to, what I would do is I would feed baby first, and it came in really handy with my second, and then set him up with the mat and toys, and then the rest and scoot the high chair up to the table. Now the rest of us can sit and eat dinner. Baby's
Right.
sitting right there with us, socializing, enjoying, the family meal situation. And none of us is stressed out trying to solve baby's problems, or especially like the witching hour at night when after
Hmm.
dinner, baby's just always a little bit whinier, needs to be held. At first, we used to, one of us would have to eat quickly while the other one's holding the baby and then switch off.
Mhm.
When you got a situation where the baby is content and happy to be sitting with you and playing and you can both eat peacefully together, it just makes for a nicer night, a nicer meal.
Yes, you have saved my me for many ruined meals, so I thank you for that. A lot of moms have ideas, but they don't act on them. What do you think holds them back the most?
I mean, probably the same thing that I did is, one, it's just an idea that I had for me.
Mhm.
So why would anybody else need it or want it? And having my friend use my idea and tell me, like, it took her telling me, this is a
Right,
great idea. You should make it for real. And even then, after putting in all of the time and money and effort to actually turn that idea into a physical product, get it manufactured, figure out how to sell it online,
right,
when I first got the first shipment of the real thing, I had so much anxiety because what if nobody likes it? What if nobody
right,
uses this thing? What if it doesn't work for people? Like, you have all these fears, and those fears are there the whole time, and so when you have to spend $600 here and $1,200 there on these different steps along the way, it's like, "Oh my gosh, I'm pouring all this money into it. Is it worth
yeah,
it?" And so I think, having a certain level of faith in what you're doing and the idea and, I do mentor a lot of women entrepreneurs who have ideas, so I welcome anyone to reach out to me if they just have an idea and maybe just don't know where to start. I have a lot of advice on how to start without spending money
mhm,
because you wanna make sure it's something that I've had people come to me with ideas, it's solving one of their problems, but not really so much a problem that I've ever had, so I can't relate to it. Gotta find more people who anyway, lots of tips and tricks for turning your mom hacks into potential real products.
I love that. So we have to talk about Shark Tank. What was going through your mind
Okay.
walking into that room? How did it start? How did you get there? And how did it feel after?
What an adventure that was. So I mentioned Bunker Labs earlier. I was taking this entrepreneurship course, and that was in 2018. And that year, Shark Tank reached out to Bunker Labs looking for veterans to feature on the show. I was nowhere near, I didn't have a product yet. I just had this cut and glued thing. And so while I wasn't ready, I took the email address of the producer and I stuck it in my contact list in my Gmail. And fast forward a year and I'm now launching the product, I blasted my whole email at like literally high school boyfriends, probably anybody whose email address I had, I sent them an email saying, "Busy
My
baby is
God.
here, buy one." And so the Shark Tank producer was in my contact list
My
and he wrote
gosh.
back. And he's like, "Hey, I see you're on the market. How are sales? Would you be interested in Shark Tank?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I just launched, so I've got about $2,000 in sales.
Mhm.
I would love to do Shark Tank, but I don't know if I'm, like, ready yet." And he says, "No, we'd like to see people like, we take businesses at all stages, but we'd like to see you have a little bit more sales under your belt so that you don't get eaten alive." So that started a 2-year conversation that ended up with me finally landing in Vegas, actually, in 2020. So I filmed during the pandemic. Normally, people
Wow.
who film Shark Tank go to LA and film, like, in Hollywood. I got to go on a plane in September of 2020, like, middle of the pandemic, which was kind of awesome because the rule on flights then was 1 person per row every 3 rows. So there was,
Wow.
like, a total of whole plane. So, of course, I had a whole row to myself. I was quarantined in a hotel, for 8 days, could not leave my room at all.
Gosh.
My kids were 3.5 and 8 months old. So people are like, "Oh my god, that must have been so hard." I'm like, "No, it was
You're like,
so
"Nope."
amazing." I had room service for every single meal. I didn't wash a dish. I didn't wipe a butt. I slept whenever I wanted to sleep and didn't get woken up. My husband's an amazing dad, so he had everything under control. We FaceTimed multiple times a day, so the kids were fine, and it was great bonding time for dad.
Mhm.
And then, yeah, then I filmed. So in preparation for Shark Tank, I watched literally every episode that had been released up to that point, which was over 200 episodes. If you think about that, that's like
Wow.
over 200 hours
My
of
god,
watching
that's
Shark
a
Tank.
lot.
It's a lot. And so, but I felt like I knew every shark, I knew every question they might ask. I felt like couldn't be more prepared.
Mhm.
I practiced and practiced and practiced. You have your pitch that you walk out on the carpet and you do your pitch, and then they just start asking questions. So I'm really glad I practiced it so many times because I think I blacked out, honestly. Like I
Sure.
walked out to the 4 o'clock and I stopped on my mark and then I just did it and then they just start asking questions. So yeah, I was in there for about an hour. I think you see like 10 or 12 minutes on TV, so you don't get to see the whole conversation, but it was great. It was great. We saw a huge spike in sales when it finally did air. So you film and you walk out of there and they make sure you know there's no guarantee you're going to be on TV. Like we filmed
Wow.
you, but they don't guarantee that you're going to make it on the show.
Mhm.
And so then you just wait and wait and wait and wait, and they email you 2 to 3 weeks before you get an air date. So for me, that meant I had to produce enough products that if I did make it on air, I would have products to sell.
Right.
But if I don't make it on air, I was thinking, well, if I'm weighing the risks, silicone products, they don't need special storage. They're not
Right.
temperature controlled. They don't expire. So I'm going to take the risk and buy a metric ton of products. And if I don't air, then I'll sell them eventually.
Yeah.
But fortunately, I did air of 2021. And I think we sold about 6 weeks worth of like sales in 3 days.
Wow.
So
How
it was
cool.
huge. And then 2 weeks later, I did a Prego Expo, and someone saw me do the demo and said, "Oh my god, this is genius. You should go on Shark Tank."
You're like, "I was."
Just on Shark Tank 2 weeks ago.
Oh my
So
gosh.
that's what I get all the time now. I think I had a lot of people say it at the expo we were at was, "You should go on Shark Tank." I'm like, "It's right there on my
You're
banner."
like, "It
I
says it."
was.
I was gonna say, I did see it, because I didn't realize that it
I
was on
did.
Shark Tank. I just knew the product, but I didn't know it from
Yeah.
Shark Tank. I just knew it. I forget how I
Yeah, I
figured out.
think that was 5 years ago. Yeah, that was 5 years ago. I don't think anybody at this point really remembers it from Shark Tank or knows that I was on Shark Tank, and it's honestly the hardest part of the business is to let people know the products even exist.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. So what's something about the Shark Tank experience that people would be surprised to know, besides that you might not get on air?
Yeah, I mean, there's horror stories about that. I have friends who were actually shown on the season premiere promo where it's like, "This season on Shark Tank." One of my friends saw herself on the promo because you're sworn to secrecy.
Mhm.
You can't tell anybody that you filmed or did any part of the process until they let you know you're gonna be on air. Well, when my friend saw herself on the promo, like, okay, it's public now. I'm on the
Right.
promo. And so she was so excited and told all her friends, and then they never aired her episode.
Oh,
So it just crushed her soul and heart. And I know a few people that's happened to. I think the other thing too, a lot of people don't realize that we're in there for a lot longer than what you see on
mhm.
TV. They do a great at making it look like it's just one real quick, concise conversation, but some people are in there 2 hours or more.
Wow. My gosh. I did not realize that it was that long. That's a lot.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's great. They're fun to talk to. It's a really great experience. There's no downside
Yeah.
to it. It gave me more confidence in myself and my business. I don't know if we do the spoiler alert thing with letting people know I got an offer from Lori, and I walked away. So that's kinda how
Okay.
that ended up.
Are you happy with that or do you regret that?
No, I'm super happy with it. I wanted to take at the time, I only had the Busy Baby mat and then the prototype for my teether and training spoon. And I had showed them it didn't make it on here, but I showed them a prototype, and I knew I wanted to expand the product line to, like, all the products we have now.
Mhm.
Lori wanted to license the Busy Baby mat to Munchkin and sit back and let the money roll in. And so we just
Yeah.
had really different vision for the company, and so, no, I'm really glad that I was able to grow the product line. Up
Yeah.
until this last summer, my brother ran the business with me, so almost 4 and a half, 5 years, my brother and I it was like a family thing we did together,
So
so
fun.
it
That's
was
awesome.
great to be able to do that.
So there's a pressure to do it all. When did you realize that balance might not look the way that we were taught?
Oh, I think it has nothing to do with busy baby. It's just like the pressure of being a mom
Right.
on its own. I feel like I have
Yeah.
to do it all.
It's so true.
And, I've had so many conversations with my husband because he lets me. He's like, "You just do it all, so I let you. If you want me to
Oh,
do something, ask me. If
just
I
let me
ask him,
know.
he'll do it."
Yeah.
I'm like, You know what needs to get done. You could." He's like, "But you do it all." So
But
I made a pact very early on when I started this business that from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m., and I think
okay.
it's a good thing for anybody who can do it in life in general, is 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. is like family time
I
only.
love that.
There's no scrolling the phone. There's no like having work meetings. Obviously, there's exceptions, but I try my best every day from 4 to 7 to be engaged with the kids, engaged with my
Right.
husband, making dinner together. Yesterday, we were sledding. Just at least I can look back and know that I gave them some part of me every single day. And when I have this like boundary set around 4 to 7,
Yeah.
it's really not that hard because
No.
it's just there and
Yeah.
that's just the way the day goes. And I
Mhm.
know I can feel good about giving my kids that time and the engagement, when they need
Yeah.
it the most.
All right. Well, you've given us so much great information. I want to end on one question. When you see a mom using Busy Baby Mat today, maybe she was overwhelmed, maybe just trying to get through a meal, what do you hope she feels with your product?
Oh my gosh. Well, one, do you know I have never seen it in use in the wild?
No way. Oh my goodness.
I've never seen it. I saw it one time in my city and I was like, oh my God, somebody has
That's
a
my
busy baby mat
product.
over there. And I walked over, like all excited, all nervous, tears in my eye, like this is the first time I'm seeing it. And it was one of my girlfriends.
I
So I
love
don't really
that.
count that one because it was like one of my girlfriends just happened to be at the same restaurant as me. And then I was on a cruise once and I saw someone had one of my bungees around their stroller. So that was
Cool.
pretty awesome. But I do get really, really awesome emails from people, reviews on the website, comments on Facebook about like how much, especially from multiple moms,
Mhm.
twins,
Oh yeah.
triplets, for those families, especially when you're trying to manage multiple kids, like just like it's amazing how helpful just 15 minutes of the baby being content
Oh
so
my
that you
gosh, it's
can
so
get
true.
supper ready for the family members or just like actually drink your coffee while it's still warm or eat your own food. Like
Mhm.
15 minutes of a content, happy, busy baby really can make a big difference in a frazzled new mom's day.
Yeah.
And so that's honestly what keeps me going. It's been a really hard year for me. I make all my products in China. And so the
Mm.
tariffs this year have really devastated my business. It's been the hardest year of my life by far,
Oh,
and I've
I'm so
deployed to
sorry.
Iraq, and this has by far been the hardest year of my life, and getting those messages from moms who
Mhm.
truly are so grateful that I bring a little bit of sanity and peace into their day, that's what keeps me like, "Okay, this
Yeah.
is not something I
It's
wanna give up on." A good
no, please
even though
don't.
it's hard right now, it's still a great thing, still helping people.
Yeah, and that's like I mean, I had a million baby products, but that like the Busy Baby Mat is definitely like my top 5 favorite things that I had from like, 1 to 3 years old, and I recommend it to
What's your
everyone.
other
So,
ones?
so I
What's your other
loved the
favorite?
well, I guess this would be before, but I loved the Baby Breeza, the formula thing was like a really it was so helpful once I started giving them formula. I really loved that. I loved well, the stroller, like I loved the Up a Baby system, and the that was one of my
Yeah.
favorite ones. The Hatch is one of my favorite, and then let's see, a fifth one would be I'm trying to think. Oh,
We still use our
yeah, we still use it too. The chair, Baby Bjorn chair was my top. Was that you put them in
yeah.
and they like kind of go. Those are my top ones that I always recommend. And like I said, and we're like a big go out to eat like family, so that was with us like all the time out to eat. Um, but well, thank you. This was so awesome. This is going to bring us to the end of another episode of the Running Wine Mom. I keep coming back to that final question and the idea that something as simple as a product can create a small moment of ease for a mom in the middle of a busy day because those moments matter more than we give them credit for. Beth, your story is a reminder that some of the most impactful ideas don't come from those perfect plans. They come from paying attention to what is not working and being willing to do something about it. So thank you so much for coming on for that. And
No,
as
thank you
always,
for having me.
thank you so much for spending time with us today on the Running Wine Mom. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with a mom who needs to hear it. You can follow me on Instagram at the Running Wine Mom _. And Beth, where can the listeners find you?
Busy baby Matt on all the socials.
Perfect. And I will link that. Thank you so much for joining us today. Remember, you are strong, you are capable, and you are all amazing. Until next time, keep running, keep sipping, and keep embracing the joy of motherhood. Cheers, and I will be back next Tuesday.